All right, ladies and gentlemen, Shawn Layden's over here talking about the possible end of consoles. This is a very interesting perspective that he takes in his big, massive, long interview that was done with Eurogamer. We're going to take a look at this because at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I got to say there are many different aspects to this particular conversation. So Layden, in this interview, but there's a lot of context here, right? And he says this, which I think is very important. He says content should be the competition for publishers, not which hardware you get behind. If he's stating this, the clear answer is that Xbox is winning. They went and bought content and they have a lot of it. The answer to this particular thing is the fact that PlayStation requires as much capital as they can muster to be able to possibly match this. In many videos, I've talked about this. And the reason I said that PlayStation needed to start working towards bringing its games to the PC platform is simply because when you actually think about it, ladies and gentlemen, they can go over there and block Xbox's free run and free reign. That's all. If you're thinking of it from a strategic perspective, Xbox is just running wild on PC and enjoying the market without its major competitor bothering them there. So a game like Indiana Jones coming out is going to come out. It's going to rock on its console, and then it's also going to go ahead and rock on PC. But guess what? There are pretty much no PlayStation games that are going to be hitting day one that can match this genre that PlayStation is going to launch on PC. And guess who's not going to buy a PlayStation to go play one PC game? It's definitely the to play one PlayStation game. It's the PC players. So if they want those sales, they need to change their tactics. Not only do they have to stop there, they have to also get back into the thinking that if we want people to play, we need to remove more barriers. So this so-called PlayStation Online requirement, that's also an Achilles heel, or at least a weak point for them. Now, if what I just said maybe flew over your head and you're like, well, where in the heck did you see that, Xbox is, winning in terms of the content war? Well, then I'm glad you actually asked, because I can always suspect that someone is going to go ahead and say something along the lines of that. So when we look at the amount of publishers that are under the Xbox brand right now under Microsoft, that amount of publishers is exactly what brings Xbox to this position with ease. If you take a look at this chart that we have right here, under Xbox, in terms of all its first-party studios and such, you have Xbox's game studios that has a number of developers, Bethesda, a number of developers, Activision and Blizzard, and in this case, there are actually 4 different publishers in terms of the amount of games that can be churned out. Each year, I don't think PlayStation will be able to match the output from all of these combined studios. It's just not going to happen unless, say, an extenuating, fantastical circumstance goes into place. And this is what I'm talking about. So let's go back to this comment where he said this. He said, Layden said, thanks to your dad. So one of the first jobs is the interview was talking about something. He says, one of the first jobs I had when I joined Sony in 1987 was in the PR department in Tokyo. And one of the first things I had to write was a corporate statement about why Sony was going to start building VHS recorders and how we weren't abandoning Betamax. I think Betamax is a hardware piece of some kind. We're just expanding our offerings to our consumers to fit their lifestyle needs, but that's what happened. And my whole life has now gone full circle, because when you have competing formats, competing platforms, competing technologies, there comes a time when we all declare the war is over. Now, this is very interesting because pretty much him talking about this, he's going on the perspective of, the hardware piece, where according to WCCF Tech, they go ahead and, summarize it. Pretty much he's talking about consoles being at their final end or the final spec at this point in time. Because, guys, if you think about it, though, I don't necessarily know that you can see too much more of a graphical improvement on consoles at this time that's going to really blow your socks off in a way that you can price the consoles that is attractive for the console player without chasing them to PC. So he goes ahead and he highlights this statement, which is at the crux of everything. He says, as such, WCF Tech says this, as such, the former PlayStation boss thinks that a big generational leap in power is never happening again, as the only leap that's left to make is the creation of perfectly realized human actors in a game that you completely control, which is something that he thinks will eventually happen. At this point, however, the innovation curve of hardware is starting to plateau, and a homogenization of gaming hardware results in very little differences between PlayStation and Xbox hardware, since both are powered by AMD. I've said this before to a lot of console players. Whenever they say, oh, we don't want to play on PC, we don't want to do this, and I'm like, you do know you're playing on a PC that's pretty much branded by and controlled and locked by Sony and Microsoft. There is inherently no difference. You have an operating system, you have your apps, which are your games, and you have all these capabilities that a PC can get you. And what's even wild among it is that you have one particular PC component manufacturer making both devices for them. And then he said this: there will be improvements in the future, but we are now close to the final spec for what consoles should be. Now, this is not him saying that consoles are going to go away. This is him saying that at the end of the day, consoles, in terms of your hardware improvement, is just, in my opinion, and if I'm reading this correctly, a fool's errand. Why? Because at the forefront, the innovation on PC, and this is my take on this, is going to always inherently plaster console. Each time you get new console hardware, you're going to get new PC hardware that's competing in a specific market that may not seem like a direct competitor, but as an indirect competitor, it will snuff out a lot of and expose console for what it is, trying to offer you that experience. Look at the Intel Battle Mage right now. They're coming out with this GPU price that's even put NVIDIA and even AMD themselves on blast. I mean, think about this particular GPU at the 250 price point. Intel designed it specifically, is marketing it specifically to go against NVIDIA's low VRAM paradigm that it uses to basically push you to the point where you'll need an upgrade. That's what NVIDIA is doing with their 8 gigs. They're making you buy a GPU that you're going to be forced to go ahead and say, I'm going to go upgrade. They want you to buy 2 GPUs if you're on a budget. In the case of AMD, they're seemingly, a little bit, I would say, apathetic in giving you a lot of the performance that they possibly can give you at a good price point, because NVIDIA is priced super high. AMD is not interested in giving you the value. They also want to put theirs super high. But now that there's another direct competitor in the market that's coming for value, it's now exposed the entire GPU market. And I was telling y'all yesterday that the GPU market is basically a scam from what NVIDIA and AMD have been doing. And somebody said to me, I said the 4090 is a scam. And I own a 4090, by the way. And I knew, and I could tell you that. Somebody said, well, they don't consider it really a scam, that, it's more of a workstation-based graphics card. It probably should be much better priced. I'm like, no. We on the gaming side, we buy more devices on average than a lot of the individual workstation users. I mean, there are more gamers on PC, obviously, than they are in terms of those who produce the games. Now, again, we can fight that statistic later, but this is the reality. So a fool's errand is they're coming and saying that, oh, your console can provide this experience and do this and do that. At the end of the day, what needs to be prioritized are the games. And I've said this very, very much so. This is when I made these videos talking about the content delivery capability of Xbox. A lot of people were pushing back saying, oh, Xbox doesn't have games that, blah, 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 blah. See, if Xbox doesn't have games that interest you, you can simply just say that. It's no problem going ahead to just say, yeah, their games don't interest me. However, it's obvious that their games interest millions more people. And again, this is the thing about gaming. There are many people out there. In fact, these kinds of games that they've actually been able to go ahead and just buy, they're the games that interest more people on average than single players. I did a survey yesterday. I was just chatting. Many of you know I'm an educator. And, once in a while, we just ask our students questions. And so I was just asking my students, what games do you play? Because they always ask me. They'll see me. They'll be like, hey, what games do you play? Because I taught, a computer apps class, and I taught them how to build a PC that could do 3D rendering. But we use gaming, parts, because gaming devices, I wasn't going to go buy like an 8000 series NVIDIA GPU for rendering. So I got a 4090, and I taught them how to build, a gaming PC just to use it as rendering devices. So we did Blender, we did a few really cool stuff in my class. And so they asked me all these questions, and I tell them I play The Division and I play, fighting games. So I was asking many of them yesterday, what games you play? Do you know that of at least 70 students that I asked, only 3 of them play single player games? And of all of them, only 1 of them had actually beaten God of War Ragnarok among the batch. The rest of them, you will be not shocked, but somewhat shocked at the games that they play. Fortnite, Apex Legend, Call of Duty. Some of them are into the DBZ games on mobile. It's a very interesting bunch, these students. I think what we're doing, especially in the gaming conversation, is that we're juxtaposing our own gaming preferences on how things are going to go in the industry. The industry is going to change very drastically. Fortnite was one of the biggest ones. Roblox, huge one. Minecraft, huge one. But these community games that Tim Sweeney said are actually being played by a lot of folk in the gaming scene, those are the games, ladies and gentlemen, that the next generation that's coming are playing. You like Spider-Man. I like Batman. You like, these single player Last of Us and all that. Many of them could not be bothered about these games. I think Xbox has already gone ahead and looked at the data, and they realized that the future is going to be in serving this customer base, and they are positioned to do that. PlayStation is trying to do it. That's why they're coming with 12 live service games. They had to close and cut the calendar, delivery down by half, because they were like, man, 12 in such a short period of time, probably seemed like a lot of the reaction they got from the audience made them just go ahead and do something like that. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, it does not negate the fact that these guys, and gals that are coming down the road are not playing the games that you hold so dear. And, honestly, those of you that are parents, you probably pushed them to this place because they found out, and again, not that you, did it on purpose. You were just trying to do what's best for your kid. So you told them, all right, you can only play 30 minutes of video games. And, the video games that were marketed and appealing to them were Fortnite games. And so you put those games in front of them. And so now that's all they want to play. My kids have never seen Fortnite. There's a reason they haven't seen Fortnite. But again, the kinds of games that they like, if you think about my kids, they also like Minecraft. Minecraft was a big deal. One of the kids convinced me to pay him because he did a job for me. Like, he helped me build something in a software, so I was like, all right, what's your payment going to be? He said he wanted Minecraft. Okay, I got him Minecraft. Well, it's one of their biggest games that they play. And then they play like the Ninja Turtles arcade game, which I'm trying to introduce more retro titles to them. But still, if they ever lay eyes on those games and they like them, that's it. That's directly where they're going. So this talk right now that Shawn Layden is putting out here, I think there's some merit to the whole conversation, but I'm going to digress. I need to, let you guys respond, talk to me in the comment section. And hopefully you guys can chat with me more in other videos. And thank you so much for watching. Peace out.